Hello, everyone. It's Friday, Erev Shabbos Parshas Baha'alotcha here outside the land of Israel. And it is my pleasure to be sharing with you this Dvar Torah message today because it is one of hope and encouragement and good news. And it is always wonderful to hear good news when right now we seem to only hear bad news and discouraging events. In the news or even in our own conversations. So here we have something wonderful to share. Before we get to that, I first want to begin with sharing an incredible, absolutely incredible interpretation of Chazal, of our sages in the Medrash, one that I had never heard of, never come across until this week. In this week's Parsha, Parshat Baha'alotcha, the Parsha actually is generally filled with very bad news and distressing events as well. People complaining, people fighting, people rebelling. And the greatest crisis seems to come after the Jewish people complain about the food. They complain, hisavu tava, they have a desire, a yearning. Vayomer, they say, mi yachilenu basar, who will feed us meat? We remember the days in Egypt when we had meat and we had fish and all the vegetables of the rich and fabulous Egypt. And now our souls are dry, we are parched. All we have is this man. And this complaint, amongst others, really seems to drive Moshe Rabbeinu mad. He turns to God and he says, Lama hariyos lavdecha, lama lo matzasi chebenecha. Why have you forced me to suffer and deal with this? I've carried the people like a mother in her bosom, in her against her body, providing everything for this people. But how can I get meat for the entire people? Kivku alai, and they are crying to me so. I cannot carry these people anymore. If this is what you're going to do to me, God, hargenina, take my life. I cannot bear this. I cannot handle this anymore. And so Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, V'yomer Hashem el Moshe, Esfali shivim ish miziknei Yisrael, gather 70 elders, and take them to the tent of meeting, and there I will descend, and I will share your spirit with them, and they will be included in the leadership and burden of the people. And that is the solution. That is the proposed solution. Now, on the one hand, it's easy to understand. Moshe feels he's alone. He has no one to share in the burden. There'll be more leaders to talk to the people, to solve problems. But there seems to be something much deeper than that. And to better understand the solution, let us return to the problem. The Torah describes as follows. The hasafsuf, asher bekirbo, hisavu ta'ava. And it was the asafsuf, this group within the people that had the original yearning, that desired the meat. Vayashuvu, vayivku, gam b'nei Yisrael. And then it spread so that also the people, that the entire people, the general population also began to cry and complain. And they said, Mi yachilenu basar, who will feed us meat? So it begins with a smaller group, it then spreads to the entire people. Who is this smaller group that begin the complaints? Rashi writes, additionally, by the way, what does this word mean? It's a difficult word, asafsuf. Rashi writes, Elu erev rav, shenesfu alehem b'tzeisam Mitzrayim. This is the rabble, the mixed multitude, Egyptians and others that had joined the Jewish people, that had been gathered in and added to them asafsuf, le'asof, mosif. And they were the ones who originally complained. But then it spread to the entire people. This is how translations translate the phrase, the rabble complained. This is how all the other commentaries follow Rashi's lead. But it turns out that this interpretation is one interpretation in the Medrash, in the Sifrei, the ancient Medrash in the book of Bamidbar, attributed to Rabbi Yehuda. But there is another interpretation of the Medrash. Rabbi Shimon ben Menasya Omer. Rabbi Shimon ben Menasya said, no, who were the asafsuf? Listen incredibly. Elu hazikenim. These are the elders. Shnemar, as the verse says, Esvali Shivim Ish Miziknei Yisrael. As later on, just in this same incident, Hashem tells Moshe, Esva, like a safsuf, gather in for me the 70 elders. They were the original group, the rabble, the separate group. They were the ones leading the complaint. They're the ones that began to complain. We want food. Who will feed us? And there it spread to the people. Imagine Moshe Rabbeinu's surprise. He's complaining to God, I can't deal with this. And who's he complaining about? He's complaining about the people. And he knows who started it. The Zikanim, the elders, who are supposed to be the leaders with him, who have undermined him. And how does Hashem respond? He says, you know what? Gather those same elders. Bring them in. Spread your spirit. Give your spirit to them. And that will solve the problem, incredibly. And Moshe does not complain. Moshe accepts it. Moshe apparently understands the wisdom in it, how it will work. And that is what he does. Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, the Zikanim, they're complaining, so give them a role. Bring them into the burden, the sharing of the responsibility of leading and teaching the people. Until that time, Moshe Rabbeinu was the sole, undisputed leader, teacher, ruler, authority of the Jewish people. And it could be that until that time, that's what was necessary, and the people simply followed. They simply were dependent on Moshe Rabbeinu. They simply obeyed as best as they could. But to have an entire people who are simply dependent, following passively, so that leads to dependency. Dependency leads to unhappiness. Unhappiness leads to complaining. Complaining leads to rebellion. And so Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu the solution, part of the solution to this problem will be sharing your responsibility so others, especially the Zikanim who had so much to add, can contribute as they can. They shall share in the leadership, and the people will see that, and then they will also take control. They will also contribute. They will also cease to be totally dependent. The complaint was not just we want food, but mi yachileinu basar, who will feed us? They're used to being fed. The people have to be lifted up. This beginning with the Zikanim. That you will not be dependent. You will be a leader. You will contribute. You will be part of the team. And this sharing of responsibility, sharing of mission, sharing of leadership is a difficult and tricky thing. And it does not work out perfectly. There still is places for unique positions and unique people. This is part of the understanding of Miriam and Aaron's complaint. Sharing of responsibility and mission and leadership can lead to chaos, disorganization, lack of clarity. This is part of the ideas behind the rebellion of Korach. But in this moment, the Torah and the Medrash are affirming that the ideal is to find the right balance so that there is not, so many people can contribute. Many people can be part of the team. The spirit of Moshe can be spread. And by the way, there's another fabulous Medrash which says that when Moshe gave his spirit to the elders, even though the pasuk says, take from your spirit and give it to them, Moshe did not lose. It is like one candle lighting another candle. The first candle is not diminished. Light is simply spread, and more light is created. And in the moment, that is what happened when Moshe Rabbeinu shared his spirit, thus sharing his responsibility, sharing his leadership with his Zikanim, and as that would trickle down through the entire people. We celebrate this Shabbos, the incredible success of our recent charity online fundraising campaign. At this moment, we have received through the campaign $137,000 and $137,552. Again, $137,552 from 193 donors. By the way, the website is still open and you can still contribute and be part of the campaign if you've not yet done so and you forgot and you want to. And in this incredibly successful campaign, there were key people, just like there was Moshe Rabbeinu and the Zikanim and Aaron and Miriam and leading the Jewish people in the wilderness. And we want to thank a few key people, especially Jackie Brenner, who did so much work coordinating with charity and making sure that everything practically happened, dealing with so many details. Thank you, Jackie. We want to thank Cheryl Sanders, Eli and Polly Newser, who were in charge of the promotion, the making of the video. Special thank you to Reva Sanders. But it was certainly a team effort beyond this small group of people. There were so many people that helped with making the videos, sending in their own videos and pictures. There are other people involved in the planning of the campaign. People made calls, posted on social media. This was a team effort. It was a shared project, and it is a shared success. And of course, we thank everyone who donated, who contributed in that way, who generously shared of their resources. And we hope that everyone who contributed feels like Moshe Rabbeinu, who gave his spirit to the elders. We hope that you feel that by contributing, you are not losing, you're not giving up anything, but just the opposite. You are like one candle lighting other candles. We are all together gaining. We are only creating more light, sharing our light with others. We don't lose by being a partner, by being on the team. We only gain. We are all lifted up together. And again, we thank everyone for participating in this incredible success. And on this very wonderful note, I wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos, good Shabbos, and Shabbat Shalom.